I'm here by the side of a stage of the EWS to take a look at the track, but also see if we can learn anything from the pros to see how they corner. We're on stage 2 here at EWS. Conditions are mixed. It's been super dry in the weeks coming up, and of course in EWS fashion it poured down yesterday, so it's been super wet. But you can see we've had probably 50 riders come down already, and they're really taking the top off, and it's turning back to really nice loam, but there are some really slick hard pack sections, and also you can see how these roots are digging out. So when the pros come down, they won't have seen this trail since yesterday. It'll have changed an awful lot. So you'll see a lot of the riders sort of making it up as they go, and that's where the best enduro riders will really try and keep their speed and just improvise. And it's going to be really interesting to see what techniques they use, especially on this corner where it's slick and root on the way in and it turns to beautiful loam, but you can see how it's just sliding away. There is a bit of a catch berm there. First, let's take a look at Richie Rude, who has to be the physically strongest rider on the circuit. Does that translate into his riding and cornering style? Well, he looks really central on the bike, dropping down out of the woods, super smooth. You can see him actually pump the front wheel down the last bit of the transition onto the flat road. Then if you pause, look at his hips. His weight is to the outside of the bike, searching for the grip in the flat, loose road. Outside foot down to get the weight low, half a pedal stroke to get the other outside foot down for the next corner. This right-hander was super tight and loose, and Richie goes for the unclip to make sure he can dab quickly to save the front wheel slide, although it's marginally slow to get back clipped in and on the gas. Although you can see it works well here, so he gets clipped back in again quickly, and the bike is still really leant over, so he probably isn't ready to pedal yet as he would clip his pedal on the ground anyway, and he gets the watts down onto the tarmac. Richie finished second at this EWS round in Loudenvielle, France. Jack MOIR was the winner of the race, but also beat Richie by 3.5 seconds on this stage. He actually unclips on the corner coming off the steep section. You could let the bike run wide on this turn. There's plenty of space to let the bike slide if you had to, but that would leave you really tight for the right-hander. So it looks like Jack doesn't want to take that risk and make sure he can nail a right and carry speed down into town. Put them side by side and you can see that Jack is turned in more halfway around the right-hander. Jack unclips as well in the turn, but you can just see how much tighter he keeps it coming out of the corner, riding a shorter distance and getting on the pedals quicker. Getting tight on the first corner really paid off down this whole section. Not where the 3.5 seconds came from, but definitely some of it. Now for some sideways action from the corner master, Sam Hill, who of course runs flat pedals so he can get a foot off and on super quickly. He runs a little wide on the first turn, and there's a really cool bit of riding here. Looks like he picks his rear wheel up to get to the outside of that rock, then drops his foot off the pedal and leans the bike over like no one else. Pause that, look at the style. Yes, not his best year of racing, but the guy can ride a bike. Jessie MELAMED here, another sideways racer, has a drift on coming into the right-hander, grips for a second, then goes again. It gets the bike rotated, but the stab at the pedal and the miss and the loss of momentum is bleeding time away. Laura Charles here riding the Orbea Rallon back when it was under wraps. You can see as she turns left, she slides a little and the weight comes off the inside of the bike, which is a dangerous place to be, but she grips, corrects it and is off again. This stage had been super wet and then dried a lot, but the riders were coming almost blind as to the conditions, and I'm sure this is one of many mistakes made on this stage. Smooth lines here from both Katie Winton and Ella Connolly. Noga Karem, you can't actually see what happens coming here to the right-hander, although it was quite a steep section. You can see how offline Noga is as she hits the right, totally on the inside, and does well to keep it upright, as there really wasn't much space to play with and lots of loose leaves. Despite this, she was fastest on this stage and went 1-1-3-4 for the stages. Strong but not consistent enough to beat the next rider we'll see. Harriet Harnden, you can see Hattie getting her hips turned in, weight to the outside of the bike, textbook cornering, and she won the race. Another skillful rider here, Morgan Shaw, dropping the outside pedal to get the bike turned in, weight low, and also clearing the pedal over that lump of dirt on the inside of the turn. You can really see the different styles of riding here from the French ladies. Melanie Pujan looking really flowy from one turn to the next, swinging the bike up to get into the tighter than it looks left-hander, whilst Isabeau unclips and then doesn't get back into the pedal that smooth. Similar style here. If you pause the video mid-turn, you can see both riders have dropped their chest low to the bars. Does get weight on the front tyre, but I think more importantly is to duck around the tight tree on the inside. Sam keeping it further left on the run out of the corner. Dimitri Tordo has to make a quick dab here with his foot, but again, someone who doesn't get clipped back in that quickly. You can see him have to sit down to try and get his foot back in. Split screen again, check out Dimitri Tordo on the right. Just watch him and Jessie MELAMED, exactly the same moves on the same corner. Richie dangling the inside foot whilst Jack keeps it super smooth. Just look at how much the bikes are moving around here. The stage has got pretty dug up due to the conditions in Loudenvielle, and riders might as well have been riding them blind. Sometimes watching the races side by side, it's hard to see where they gain or lose time as they can look really similar. Although here it looks like Melanie Pujan on the left enters the turn, hits that route at the same time as Isabeau Cajoria on the right, but Melanie seems to rocket mid-turn and get wide for the next right, and she's a metre ahead all of a sudden. Lee Johnson for the pole enduro race team. He comes into shot with a Scandi flick of sorts. If you replay and pause it, his back wheel is kicked out towards the corner with his weight off the side. He comes off the brakes, it grips and then turns him the right way and he drops his outside foot. Watch this lovely piece of riding again. You can see as Martin switches from one corner to the other, his weight is hanging off the inside of the turn. His bike is pointing right and his body weight dropping to the left to muscle the bike around and get it going. Then he unclips into a drift. Nice riding. Check out just how hard the two top guys are pushing. This is the same corner we saw Martin Mays drifting on. Jack Moir almost letting it go too far. Also Richie Rude running really wide and getting very close to that tree. There we go, nice to see some of the world's best riders in slow motion, to see if they're using the same cornering skills as we are, and I guess for the most part they are. This was definitely a tricky race in Loudenvielle in France. It was from dry to wet, all sorts of different conditions. And if you want to relive the action, go back on GMBN and watch that race. Give us a thumbs up if you love seeing pros cornering.